going to be talking about masking. You will understand by the end of... Welcome back. I want to say thank you very much to all the subscribers. I've hit over 100 subscribers. Seems small for some maybe, but it's incredible to me. Today we're going to be talking about masking, and by the end of this video you will understand what masking is, why autistic people mask, and why I hope masking will not be necessary in the future anymore. So if you feel like this rings true with you, leave a comment below. So let's get right into it. The reason I'm making this video is because in the past, when I've told people that I'm autistic, many neurotypicals will not accept that. Often you get a response of, no, you don't look autistic. In my video, where I ask the public what they know about autism. You would recognize somebody who has autism on the street?
A very severe one, I think, yeah.
Okay.
If it's a very serious one, then yes, because I think those people, they need a special kind of, you know, like they need silence, they don't need, so they need specific things, requirements that they ask, so you can tell. Like,
Would you be surprised if I told you that I have autism?
I will be surprised.
In my general description of autism video, if you haven't seen it, there's a link up there, also in the description. In that video I'm describing the difference in brain structure between autistic brains and neurotypical brains. In that video I described how the autistic brain is better suited to systematic tasks than emotional or social tasks. I also describe how difficult it is for me to be in large areas, like a supermarket for example. Being in a room with a lot of people, like for example my work canteen, can be really challenging for me. But if it is so challenging for me, how come nobody notices masking? Today we're gonna talk a little bit about how autistic individuals like myself manage to infiltrate the dangerous territory of neurotypical society without being detected. We are social ninjas. Jokes aside, what is masking? In very simple terms, masking is when an autistic person copies other individuals' behaviors to avoid being laughed at or ridiculed for behaving differently. It's the passive, unconscious responses you get from other people around you, like and that make you feel uncomfortable. Because I can't tell that people think what I just did is strange. I just can't tell why. To avoid these types of unconscious ridicule, I developed a mask. I copied what other people do in their social behavior, and if it resulted in people not realizing that I didn't know what I was doing, happy days, I won. Very often when I explain masking to a neurotypical person, the conversation goes a bit like this. Yeah, masking is when I copy other people's behavior that I've learned works. So I do things that I know I won't get ridiculed for by copying what other people do and just doing that in a social situation. I don't really understand them, but my brain has learned that if I do this, then people won't laugh at me. That's kind of how it goes. Yeah, but don't all children learn like this? That's a very good question, and the answer is yes and no. Okay, let me explain. So this is really the big difference between neurotypical and autistic brains, and the reason masking is still necessary. A neurotypical brain, so I've been told, does copy the parents' behavior. Children copy the parents' behavior, they do what the parents do, they say the words the parents say, they copy their friends, they experiment, see what society says to this. But what they do, they use these trials to gain an understanding of the underlying rules. Much like a scientist doing experiments to understand why certain things in the world behave a certain way, learning the underlying laws of physics, biology, neurotypicals use these trials and error experiments to learn the underlying rules of society. Autistic brains just copy we're often not able to form an understanding of the underlying rules, which results in us just behaving a certain way forever. Even to this day, I do things that I know I have to do, but I really don't understand why, and I don't think they're necessary. So neurotypicals develop some sort of social instinct where they get a feeling where they don't need to consciously think about what is acceptable and what is not. I don't have a social instinct. I just do exactly the same thing that I have used in the past if it has led to success in the past. Success meaning not being laughed at. And this might seem strange, but unless somebody explicitly tells me the rules of society, those underlying unspoken rules, just to be clear as well, if something is unwritten, unspoken, it's not a rule. Not in my mind anyway. You can't expect every human being in the world to understand the rules that have not been explicitly pointed. Especially autists struggle with understanding these rules that are not explicitly spelled out. Small talk is a prime example. I really don't understand the purpose. I'm sorry. I know because I have been told that people need this social interaction, that they need this feeling of connecting with other people, that it's good for them, that it makes them feel happy. I much rather sit there beside somebody in silence for an hour. Doesn't seem to have any benefit to talk about nothing in particular, to talk for the purpose of talking. But I've been told, I have learned that I need to have a conversation, that silence is awkward, and so I avoid the silence. So how do I know what to say and what to do in certain situations? I have no social instinct. To this day, I'm not capable of deciding if something is appropriate or inappropriate in a new situation. That is why new experiences, meeting new people, going to new places is so scary for me. And I will not be able to wing it, as they say, because I know the probability that I'm gonna do something that will get people to laugh at me is very high. So how do I know what to say? It's actually rather simple. In my mind, I've got a big book of social rules, of things that are acceptable to do in certain situations and things that are not acceptable to do in other situations. And when I go to a situation, when I go to work, when I sit on a bus, when I walk on the street, when I talk to a person, I scan through this book. If somebody asks me a question, I scan through this book and find the situation and I just go with it. When I go to a party, I say the same things. I ask the same questions. I scan the same pages of my social book. Always go with what I know has worked in the past. That is masking. So masking is not being able to live in the world. Masking is pretending to be somebody else, to be accepted by society. One example is that I have learned people do not like to be corrected on typos in their PowerPoint presentation. Apparently that's not appropriate. I personally am very grateful when somebody corrects my typos because then I can change it and go on with my life. So I did this for a long time. I corrected people the moment they saw a typo. I have now been told that that is not good business etiquette. So the big book says it's not appropriate. As long as I'm in a familiar setting, I'm okay because the book tells me what to do. If I'm in situations like work, I've got so many entries about so many situations that I can pretend to be a neurotypical person. Inside my brain, there's people searching through the libraries of the social books. The rules constantly get applied actively while I'm writing emails, while I'm holding conversations, while I'm sitting in meetings, while I'm sitting at lunch. I'm constantly searching through this rule book to understand what is acceptable and what is not. Do what everyone expects people to do because they don't understand how neurodivergence results in different things being comfortable, being uncomfortable, making sense, seeming logical, or seeming clear. As an outside observer, you would never be able to tell, and that is masking in a nutshell. So we're gonna do a thought experiment. You can close your eyes if that helps you imagine. You can keep them open if you prefer to do that. But what I want you to imagine is you open a door and you walk into a room and there's a party going on. You see the people around you having chats, laughing, standing in small little groups, and you walk up to one of the groups, you join in the conversation, and you find strange looks. These people look at you weirdly, and you're just having a chat. Have you got something in your teeth? You have a stain on your jumper? You get self-conscious and you don't know what's going on. You look around and you realize, so every time they speak, they put a finger on their nose. You think that may be it. You don't quite understand the custom, but you put the finger on your nose. Every time you speak now, you put your finger on your nose as well, and they stop looking at you strange. You meet them again, you come in, and you just put your finger on your nose when you talk to people, because everyone is doing that. You do that, and you just do that every day. There is no reason for people to touch their nose when they speak. But that's what it feels like to be autistic sometimes. Standing in conversation, seeing people do rather random things, expect rather random things of you. And you might think this is not a good example because there's no reason to put your hand on your nose when you speak to people. I used an extreme example to help you understand what it's like to be autistic in a neurotypical world. I follow scripts every single day when I hold conversations. I mask at work. I mask with friends at a party. Whenever you think, oh, I'm loosey-goosey, oh, he's having a great time, more likely than not, I am working very, very hard in my brain to make sure that you don't think I'm strange. I don't know if this is making sense to you or not, but I hope you can understand what masking is now. So let's sum up what we've talked about today. We've learned about masking, and at the beginning of this video I said you were gonna understand what masking is, which I hope you do by now. That you will understand why autistic people mask, which I hope you understand now. And third, I said I'm gonna tell you why I hope that masking will not be necessary in the future anymore. Essentially, masking is a result of autistic people being ridiculed for not having the same understanding of society as others. And the reality is, the way autistic people often see the world is not worse. They're not hurting anybody. If somebody doesn't look you in the eye while they're speaking, but they're looking down, but they can still hold a conversation, that's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with this. As long as you can understand them, let them be who they are. If somebody needs to flap their hands or distort their face to be able to be comfortable around you, that's not a sign of disrespect. We need to question our unconscious biases about social interactions. What we believe to be respectful, correct etiquette may not be the same to the person next to you. We need to remove the assumption that everybody knows what's going on inside our minds. If you get offended by something somebody said or somebody didn't say, by something somebody did or something somebody didn't do, then talk to that person, ask them why they did this, why they didn't do this, but come from a place of understanding. More likely than not, do not understand that you expected this or did not expect this. Resolve the misunderstanding, and more likely than not, it can be resolved. And I'm not just talking about a business meeting, I'm talking at home. Children, spouses, in-laws, you will have had situations where you got offended, where something just didn't work the way you expected, where they behaved at a family gathering in a way that you thought was just inappropriate. And more likely than not, that person had no clue that you were offended. They didn't mean anything by it. They were just being themselves. They weren't trying to hurt your feelings. The reason I hope that we don't need masking in the future is because masking is only necessary because of our tendency as humanity not to look at other people's situations, not to look at other people's point of views. We prefer to find people strange, give them weird looks, or assume things in our own minds about them. And if we truly had a good understanding of neurodiversity, the fact that people have different desires individually and not just autistic people, neurotypicals. I'm talking every individual has different things they enjoy, has different hobbies, has different things they don't like. Some people like big parties, some people need stimulation, some people need to listen to music while they work, other people need to have quiet, other people like to be inside. We put them into boxes: introvert, extrovert, autistic, neurotypical, and the boxes are getting smaller as we progress as society, but the reality is we're all sitting in our own box. And if we just get out of our boxes and accept that we're all different, we wouldn't need people pretending to be like everyone else to avoid ridicule. Think about someone in your life that you don't quite understand, where you feel like the decisions they're making are not right, and try to understand why they're making decisions they're making, rather than criticizing the decisions they're making. Because that person has a reason for the decision they're making. I know this got more intense than I anticipated, but I truly believe that if we can accept everyone as who they are, we can make the world a better place for everybody. Thanks for watching. Appreciate everyone that watches my videos, and I hope it helped you a little bit. If you feel like this is helping, subscribe for more videos in the future. I've got one lined up about context blindness that I think will be really interesting. Like and leave a comment. Do you agree? Have you got other experiences? Did you feel like this resonated with you? Do you have a family member that you understand better now? Let me know. This is really making a difference. I read every comment, and it really does give me the motivation to keep making more videos. It really means a lot to hear personal messages of how my video has helped you understand somebody, how it helped you understand yourself. With that, I'll leave you and I'll say, have a great day.